Just like a hydraulic system uses oil, a pneumatic system uses air. And here's a sort of diagram of a typical system like you might find in a shop. So a hydraulic system uses a pump. Pneumatics use a compressor. A hydraulic system uses a tank or a reservoir. A pneumatic system uses a receiver, which is basically a tank. And then you still have valves and you still have actuators. Pneumatic system does have some extra devices for conditioning the air, which we'll talk about in a separate slideshow. Oops. In a shop setting, you often see one single compressor and one large receiver. Remember, that's the tank. And then air going through a loop throughout the shop. That compressor, comes on and off, so there are fluctuations in the pressure. And then as the tools are used, they pull off some air, and so those cause fluctuations in the pressure. Having this large receiver tank with pressurized air in it levels out the air fluctuations and keeps it all constant. So the compressor is what takes the air from the surrounding atmosphere and pressurizes it. So we use air, all right, but we've got to pressurize it, and that's the job of the compressor. The most common type is probably a piston. This is sort of an old-timey picture, but I put it in here because you can really see the pistons. But you can also, sort of analogous to hydraulics, you can have vane compressors and screw compressors. The symbol looks a lot like the symbol for a hydraulic pump. The only difference is for a compressor, that triangle is open instead of filled in. And in all of these symbols, that triangle is like an arrow. It indicates flow. In a pump, that arrow indicates oil is flowing. In a compressor, that arrow indicates pressurized air is flowing. But now, because it's air, we just have an open triangle. And you can just draw a circle and a plain open triangle, and you'll be good. So after the compressor pressurizes the air, it gets stored in a receiver. And a receiver is basically a tank. It's a tank that stores the pressurized air, and it helps level out the pressure fluctuations. It does some other things too. It's got a lot of surface area. The thing about a compressor is when it compresses the air gets hot. And you can picture those molecules jumping around together as they get compressed. They jump harder and harder, and there's friction between those molecules. That makes the air hot. So it comes into the receiver, and just the surface of the tank dissipates the heat. Then condensation, moisture builds up in that air real easily. So there is a drain at the bottom of the receiver, and the maintenance crew will come along and open that drain regularly and drain out the moisture. And that air will carry dirt and particulates, and so they can get drained out through the drain as well. These receivers are shaped like cylinders because that is the strongest shape. And here is the symbol for a receiver. Looks a lot like an accumulator symbol. And you can turn this symbol flat like this, or you can turn it straight up and down. Those are both correct. And you notice it's just half a circle on each end with straight line in between.